What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Great Iron Bangahz. We're still going over our draft coverage. Check out our previous video where we went over the top 10 picks and kind of broke down our thoughts on just the top 10. In this video, we'll kind of break down our team's picks and then maybe some other bigger names outside of the top 10, in the first, second, kind of third round. Nothing too much further than that. Obviously, once you get kind of past the third round, those bigger names aren't really there. But yeah, we'll hop right into it. We'll get started with, I think, the first biggest name right there outside of the top 10 at number 12, Bo Nix, the next quarterback to go after McCarthy. Like we mentioned before, in our last video, this is a really heavy QB draft. And the Broncos, definitely a team that was kind of hurting for a QB, just moved on from Russell Wilson. Um, and we knew they're more than likely they're going to be taking a QB. And Bo Nix was kind of the biggest name right there after everybody that went. Um, I know a lot of people, uh, or at least a lot of the videos I saw, Sean Payton, he was really high on Bo Nix, and it seemed like it was the guy they wanted, at least for that number 12 pick. It was who they expected to get. So I think for what they wanted, I think they got what they wanted. It it being such a heavy QB draft and a lot of teams really needing a QB, this was probably the best they were going to get at this point. Um, I think the Bo Nix is really comparable to JJ McCarthy, so I feel like Vikings or Denver would have been happy with either or. I feel like, but it seemed like they got who they wanted. So at least for terms of value, I think not a bad pick. Was definitely not going to get any other names at 12. So I think they're happy with what they got, especially post Russell Wilson. I don't think they're expecting to really be relevant for a while. Maybe just kind of have Sean Payton help kind of develop Bo Nix into what Sean Payton has played with. Drew Brees. We know the type of career Drew had and him and Sean had. So maybe Payton can bring the best out of him. Kind of starting fresh post Russell Wilson because yeah, Denver. We know their struggles. We know that they really did not have good last 2 years, and I think they definitely needed something new.
Yeah, they definitely need a fresh start. I mean, just how many changes they went over in like the last 3 years. Just new quarterback, new head coach, another new quarterback. So looks like this team most just keeps looking for a fresh start. But yeah, I don't mind the pick. I mean, was the last of the QB crop that was kind of takeable in the first round. They needed a QB. I question if they could have moved down if there was even people trying to move up because I don't know what other team needed a QB. Maybe the Raiders take them next pick if he falls there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I have no problems with this pick. They needed a quarterback, and Sean Payton definitely wants a guy.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Um, yeah. Speaking of the Raiders, that'd probably be the next guy I'd talk about. Brock Bowers, tight end, first tight end off the board. For sure the best tight end in this draft. Definitely a freak of nature at the tight end position, physicality, his route running. Um,
Yeah,
but I think a lot of people were surprised that the Raiders made this pick. I mean, I saw a lot of Raiders posts. A lot of Raiders fans were not happy about it. Um, I don't know. I mean, I've especially with kind of the outbreak of Michael Meyer, I think thought had a pretty decent year, and I thought maybe it was going to be the guy for them. But I guess in the sense of it's not bad to have Bowers on your offense because he's just kind of like that, the Travis Kelsey comparison that he can just, or, maybe even Kittle. He can block, he can run routes, he can just, you know, I don't think there's a
full
problem with
package.
having him. Yeah, I don't think there's a disadvantage to having him on your offense. But I don't know, maybe a lot of people definitely thought this was a reach.
Yeah, well, it's kind of on Brock Bowers, and then I don't know why, but the Super Bowl video where he was like interviewing with Gronk and them standing next to each other, I just don't believe in him anymore. Just look like a child to me. So, but I feel like maybe that might just be Gronk, but I don't mind this pick.
I don't know.
I feel
Gronk
like they do.
Gronk is a one of a kind.
Yeah, Gronk is one of a kind. That's why I was like, he might do that to everyone he stands
Yeah,
next to. But
that is, yeah.
I don't mind this pick. kind of seems like he's gonna be the replacement for Darren Waller. I know they lost him last year, but maybe they kind of saw that their tight end position wasn't giving them what they were used to and wanted. So maybe that's why when they went Brock Bowers. So don't mind the pick. They're another team I feel like can go almost anywhere with their pick, and it's not really too much of a bad position. So
Mhm.
use the
Yeah.
luxury pick on a top tight end. That'll probably stick with them for most of his career if he pans out.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I like I said, I don't think you can go wrong with having Bowers on your offense. I don't think there's a
Yeah,
disadvantage to making that pick there.
no,
Yeah, no, definitely
won't
not.
help you.
Yeah, he can only help. Um, but yeah, next up, I'd say the first defensive player off the board to the Colts at number 15, Laitu Latu. Um, I know a lot of people. I think a lot of people were ranking Dallas Turner as the number one, but Latu ended up being the first defensive guy off the board. I don't think you could go wrong with either one. I think they're both great prospects, great edges. I think maybe this was just a specific want for the Colts because obviously they had the opportunity to take Turner if they wanted to, um,
Mhm.
but or even they could have gone tackle with Byron Murphy, but I don't know. I think it was just a specific wanting that guy on the edge there, just kind of help their defense out. I don't think they could have gone wrong. I think it was just maybe they saw something they specifically wanted over Turner, and um, yeah, either way, I think if they went Turner or Latu, they would have been a good pick.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I thought, what's his name? Um, not Latu. Uh, why am I blanking? You just said his name. Oh,
Byron
Dallas
Murphy.
Turner. I thought Dallas Turner
Oh, Dallas
was going
Turner.
to be the first, yeah, first defensive
Yeah, I
player
know.
to
I
pick,
think he
but
was definitely most analysts
top
had him
ranked
ranked
one.
number one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I don't hate the pick. I mean, they got the guy they wanted. They had their choice. So they can't say that they took what came to them. They got what they wanted at this pick. So
yeah, yeah. No, for sure. They
kind of with the
definitely it definitely
Falcon.
was a specific pick. Like this was not a reach
Yeah,
for what they could have gotten.
yeah. So if you think he's the guy, if you think he's the top rusher, go ahead, take your guy. Kind of like same mindset as the Falcons. It's hard to judge a lot of these picks because I mean, any team that picks any guy here in the first round, they're in love with. So if you love a guy, got to take a chance on him. Everything's a dice roll, and yeah, I don't mind this one. I don't think it was that big of a reach. He was still a top-rated edge rusher. I think he was second, so
Yeah, no, for sure.
not too, yeah, not too big of a reach for them.
Yeah, no, I definitely think this was just a specific want. So
Yeah,
yeah, like you said, if you see a guy you like, you got to take it. Um, I'd say the last name kind of really worth mentioning in this first round here. Uh, 28th pick to the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy. Um, kind of maybe a bit of a reach at least at the receiver position. Um, maybe some other names could have gone above him. Pearsall, Leggett. Some of these guys went kind of at the end of the round there after him, but we know that I think a lot of people were expecting the Chiefs to take a receiver this draft. Um, we know their struggles. We've already mentioned it numerous times how the receiver core for the Chiefs were just kind of their demise throughout the year. Um, but they still found a way to win the Super Bowl no matter what. So I definitely think this will. We saw them make an offseason move with Marquise Brown as well. They just re-signed Kelsey to another 2-year deal. Um, and yeah, having a speed guy, Worthy. So now they have Worthy, Rasheed Rice, and Marquise Brown to go with Kelsey just to kind of bolster that offense. I mean, at the end of the day, we know Mahomes is going to get it done no matter what, no matter who he's throwing to. Um,
yeah,
but, maybe this is just one of those guys that can develop under Mahomes. We saw Rasheed Rice, who kind of really nobody expected to kind of outbreak the way he did. And maybe that was mostly in part because Mahomes is just so great and he could just make anybody look good. So maybe he could do the same for
good
Worthy.
chance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely. if there's any chance of any receiver having a breakout with Mahomes at your
Yeah,
quarterback, it's
you have your
doable.
best shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't hate this pick. I definitely don't love this pick. I kind of with you. I don't know if you said you agreed with it. I kind of thought it was a reach. Just
Yeah,
from like the last
I
names.
thought it was a bit of a reach. Like you said, I don't hate it, but
Yeah.
it
I don't hate
I
it.
feel like they
Yeah.
could have gotten a more skilled receiver rather than just speed. But
Yeah. It's not even the pick. I just felt like I didn't see maybe a reason to trade up. Maybe they wanted to get in front of the Niners because it looked like they want a receiver, but I
yeah,
don't know. I just didn't make too much sense for for them to move up for a receiver with just the next few picks not needing that position. So it was a little confusing to me. I mean, it's always scary to add a receiver, especially a receiver with talent, and give him to Mahomes. So it's always a scary thought. But I'm not high on Xavier Worthy. I tend to kind of look off the guy who runs the fastest in the combine.
yeah.
I don't know, just from past experience, they don't seem to pan out to what you think they were. I mean, we can go over a lot of names. Darius Hayward Bay, dude from
John
the
Ross.
Bengals, John Ross.
Yeah, no,
I mean, the list goes on and on.
that's a
Just
great point you make. See, for
yeah,
me,
but
I personally thought if they were going to be taking a receiver, especially in the first round, it would have been somebody with size because I feel like that was something they were missing. They had the small, speedy guys. They just need somebody with size. That
but they didn't have
vertical.
talent at the small, speedy guy. Because I mean, you have Rasheed Rice and also they're kind of bigger bodies. I feel like Rasheed Rice is kind of a bigger body receiver.
I don't know. He felt more
Has the
like
speed.
that slot kind of speed option.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just want to see if they can get another Tyreek because yeah, we
Yeah,
know how well
yeah,
Tyreek
that is
works with
true.
them.
We saw. Yeah, we saw. Yeah, maybe they're
But yeah,
expecting a Tyreek out of him. So
adding any receiver to Mahomes, I can't say it's a bad pick. So
yeah, true. Like you said. But yeah, those are kind of some of the bigger names I think I felt were worthy about mentioning. But yeah, now we can kind of get into our team's picks. At least our top picks. We don't have to get into like the deep rounds, but um, I'll start us off since my pick is just right before yours at 19 and yours is 20. Um,
I think we should start you off, especially since this is your guys' like first round draft pick
yeah,
since
and
like
that is worth mentioning.
2014
Yeah,
or
this is
something.
our first round draft pick since 2016 since taking Jared Goff. Um,
Is this is this the
yeah,
first time you watched day one in the draft for 7 years?
yeah, it's been the first time I've been in day one for the last 8 years almost. Um, but yeah, pick 19. Kind of not a surprise going with defense. Jared Verse, defensive edge. Um, I definitely think this is a huge steal for our team. Post Aaron Donald, our defense I think, is going to be weird because we just haven't seen what our defense would be like without him. Because he's always been that threat, always gotten the attention. We seen him the last few years lead the league in double teams, even triple teams. So it's just going to be weird without him. So I definitely think this is a necessity pick just to kind of, you know, none of these up and coming guys are going to be the next Aaron Donald, but at the very least, they'll fill a you know,
Add talent
partially
to the
that
room.
void. And I felt like he was a huge steal. Um, I definitely think maybe some other teams could have taken him. So I felt like this was a massive pick for us. Big guy, 6'4", 250. He's going to be that strength on the edge while we got Byron Young on the other edge with speed. Um, and this actually, I think he's going to pair well with another pick that we made in the second round, which I'll mention after yours. Um, but yeah, I love this pick. I knew we needed a defense. I knew it was going to be defense. And I wasn't expecting, to get Dallas Turner, Byron Murphy, maybe Byron Murphy. If he hadn't have fallen to Seattle, I wouldn't be surprised if we take him. But yeah, I really like this pick.
Yeah, not too much surprise, like you said. Kind of looked like it. I mean, it's hard for any team to lose a Hall of Fame player, and
Yeah,
even more so when that Hall of Fame player is still kind of in his prime, as Aaron Donald was
yeah, he
still.
definitely
I
had
mean,
more in him.
Yeah, still was taking double, triple teams at that age, and probably
Yeah,
still could have done it for another 2 or 3 seasons at least. So definitely hard to replace that. But yeah, picking up a defensive lineman just adds talent to that room. You
yeah,
talked about it kind of all last year with the defensive lineman you guys signed last year and kind of the later rounds. So let's see what you guys can do with the first round talent at edge rusher.
yeah. It definitely is going to be interesting to see if we can make the best out of third, fifth rounders. We can. I mean, he's got a lot to live up to, especially being in the first round. If he's going to be a bust
Yeah.
compared to our fifth round picks, yeah. But yeah, we'll move on to yours. Yours right after ours, 20th. You guys
Yep.
went Troy Feltanu, offensive guard.
Also, you know, say quick shout out. It seems like a lot of Polynesians in this first round. A decent
Yeah,
amount.
there were quite a bit.
Um, so shout out to them. All the big boys, the linemen and
Yeah,
the
for
D
sure.
linemen.
They're
So
like all linemen too,
yeah, they're all linemen. But
offense
I
and
fan
defense.
of this
Yeah,
pick. Fan of this pick. I kind of knew we were going offensive lineman. I think it was kind of written on the wall. We wanted to bolster up our run game. It wasn't consistent throughout the season, and our just guards kind of. I think we cut one, so it made sense that we needed another guard. We didn't want to just throw someone in there. So Trevor and I didn't do too much research on him. I will be honest. My top lineman that I wanted was Amarius Mims, but he did go 2 picks before us to the Bengals, which kind of hurts. But I'm a fan of Trevor Fatanu. I'm gonna learn how to get his name right eventually. But yeah, being like a Steeler, I was a Steelers fan growing up, so gotta love it. Going just a player going to his kind of hometown team plays an extra edge, kind of understands what it's like to be a Steeler, and it seems like just having to watch over the years. But great pick, was a position of desperate need for us, so I would have been surprised if we went anywhere else with this pick.
yeah, yeah. No, I definitely think you guys make the right choice. I think especially that you mentioned you guys lost a guard, so I think you're needing a guard position. Yeah, he is a starting tackle, but he actually, I think a lot of people were expecting him to be able to kind of be versatile and could move into the guard position. And I know
Mm.
a lot of boards had him ranked pretty high, even at the guard position. Um, so I think in the sense of yeah, you wanted Mims, but you needed a guard, and kind of Mims is more leaning towards tackle. I think this was the right
Yeah.
pick for y'all. Um, so
Yeah, it feels
it
good with the
definitely,
position flexibility
yeah,
because I mean we signed Broderick Jones last year, so he's one of our tackles. I think we
yeah,
were looking for a tackle. He might play tackle for us because I think that's kind of what our mindset was to try and get another tackle just to get those ends out
hmm,
of the way, have
yeah, yeah,
corner pieces for the future. So I think he's gonna play tackle. There's a chance he could play guard. Like I said, we did cut a guard. Our guard depth isn't the greatest. We did sign a center in the second round, which we'll talk about more
yeah.
later. So that will help the end here. But yeah, I'm gonna be watching training camp, trying to see where they're planning on placing him because we have some decent starters, but pretty much anyone but Broderick Jones can be subbed out, in my opinion. So
Oh yeah, no, I definitely think he's a day one starter. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I think the benefit of having that versatility to be able to play tackle or guard definitely helps you guys out. Where if you feel like you guys can take the hits at guard and you rather have him at tackle, you definitely have that option, or vice versa.
yeah, yeah. And we know my team likes having their options.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we know you guys like the
As we have Justin Fields
for sure.
and Russell Wilson on bench.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I will mention Jake is not here, but he is obviously our Eagles fan. He had They did take 2 picks after yours, 22nd pick. They took Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback. He is the first cornerback to go off the board. Definitely, I think, arguably the best one in this draft. I know maybe a few other guys dealing with injuries maybe could have been a little bit higher on the boards, but because of those injuries, they kind of got knocked down. But we know that the Eagles are really struggling in their defensive secondary right now, and this was a really big necessity pick. Um, Definitely, a lot of people's boards kind of had him maybe going in that top 10, top 15 if for teams that took a cornerback, sorry. Um, but yeah, just not that necessity for some of those teams kind of up to this point. And yeah, the Eagles definitely needed this, so I think this was a good pick for them. And this wasn't the only cornerback they took in this draft too. So we know that they're really heavy on their secondary right now, for what they need, because we watch all year long just that secondary kind of get torn apart. So definitely a good pick for them.
Yeah, great pick. This is a guy I definitely did not see falling to the Eagles. So again, another year where I love the Eagles draft. They just get played for some reason fall to them. If it's Jalen Carter,
Yeah,
any of those big guys they signed in the first round. I forgot what the other guy's name was. I'm blanking on their other big D tackle they got. But yeah, just players falling into their hands at the right place. Probably going a lot later than they should have. So I love the pick. I think it's Howie Roseman, their GM. Sadly, we don't have Jake to double check, but he seems like he's been having pretty much A+ drafts after drafts, in my opinion. I love most of the picks he's always taken in the first day one, day two. Eagles, I mean, you can see the talent they have on their team. It's all around. So this is why they're winning games or a winning team right now and a winning franchise is because they just keep hitting in the draft. And I think they hit another one in this draft.
yeah, yeah. No, like you said, the Eagles always find a way to just get those guys.
Yeah, great value.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of going into my team's next one in the second round here. As I mentioned, Jared Verse from Florida State in our first round. We ended up getting the Florida State defensive tackle Braden Fisk. So two Florida State guys. Um,
Great name.
yeah, I think this is a huge pickup to kind of have that 1-2 combo inside outside. Like you said, Aaron Donald. We're just trying to kind of fill in the pieces where we can. And I think he could definitely be a day one starter. Line him up against, with not against, but with Kobe Turner, Jared Verse on the outside. So that chemistry they already have playing with each other, I think, is going to kind of blend well nicely and kind of translate over into the NFL. So I could definitely see both of them being day one starters and just kind of having that 1-2 combo they had back at Florida State. So I really like this pick. I definitely think he's one of the top 5 defensive tackles in the draft. And I think it's a pretty good value here in the second round. So I I think it's a good strong pick. Like we said, our defensive line, we don't know what our identity is going to look like, so this only helps.
Yeah, another great pick. I mean, you guys are kind of throwing the Eagles since they had the pick after you. You kind of already hinted they took another corner, but it seems like you guys and the Eagles both had the mindset that you guys wanted to fix a certain position. You guys being in that front seven and me being the corners, and I mean, when you get players, it seems like they wanted. It seems like a great draft. I mean, you guys got two top pieces in the defensive front seven, just to kind of stop up that run, just be kind of more bully ball. And like the Eagles, they really wanted to revamp their corner room. So yeah, when you get those positions that you seem like you really are set on to revamp and you hit them, I gotta love the picks.
Yeah. But yeah, like you mentioned, right after ours, uh, Eagles take Cooper DeJean, cornerback, the first white cornerback in forever.
It's like 2000, it's like 2002, I think, or
Um,
something like that. I looked it up. It was like
yeah,
2002 or
yeah,
2004 since we had a starting white corner.
yeah. Like you said, just filling a role, filling a position that is really needed. Whether he's going to be a starter, I don't know. Uh, I don't want to say yes, but maybe there's a chance. Just the fact that we haven't had a white cornerback in so long is just kind of like, I feel like, just plays a factor in some
Yeah,
sense.
I,
But
I think I think he can start. I mean they do still have
I think he
Darius.
could. I think he could.
I
Yeah, they
they
could.
they probably throw him in the kind of like the slot, the nickel kind of corner,
Yeah, yeah,
and have the um, Mitchell and Darius, not Darius,
yeah. I
Darius.
mean, we
Yeah,
know that this league
that's it.
is like there are very few cornerbacks that are just elite, elite. It's a short list of guys that are just true, absolute nightmare matchups. Um, so I mean, you could never go wrong with having more cornerbacks to rely on, because
Yep.
most teams can barely afford to have one good quarterback, let alone, two or three in their entire secondary. So Yeah, we know, especially watching the Eagles secondary get tear apart all year. We know they need the help. So this it's it's a smart pick in terms of what they needed. But
Yeah,
yeah, we'll move on to your next pick in the second round. You guys went Zach Frazier, center.
yeah. Yeah, another pick I wasn't really too surprised about. We definitely needed a center. There's another position we cut on the offensive line, so I mean, we're probably going to grab him in the second, maybe third, and probably we're going to spend the first on it. What's the right names? But I like Zach Frazier. Sadly, again, he was my second guy on my board that I wanted. My top pick was Jackson Powers Johnson. I knew he kind of was rising the boards the closer we got to draft season.
Yeah,
So it makes sense that he was taken a little bit earlier. But I love the Zach Frazier pick. Love that another lineman. So can't complain. We are trying to revamp that one, as you can kind of tell with these first two picks, and makes sense. We're always trying to be a run team. We've always have been trying to be a run team, and probably besides the Big Ben era, but we've always wanted to run as our staple, and this helps solidify that game. Hopefully, we don't start slow again. Just trying to figure out a run game. Hopefully, we can start off fast and kind of get that going from the beginning of the season, so we don't have so much must need wins at the end of the season to get into those postseason. As we know, like the last few weeks of the season can get kind of crazy and
yeah.
unpredictable. So
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Alrighty, well, I think yeah, none of us have a pick until the third round, and
yeah,
we'll go again with where it's Rams and Steelers back to back.
yeah,
So in the third round, our first pick in the third round, we went. I was a little surprised we went running back Blake Corum. Um, I definitely was not a huge fan of this pick. You know, thinking about it, I didn't hate it. Um, I was a little surprised we didn't maybe look for a cornerback here. Maybe there just wasn't value at cornerback with kind of a lot of the bigger names going in that first and second round. Um, I felt like cornerback was one of our biggest needs. But I don't hate this pick. I think our running back, our feature back's going to be Kyron Williams. And our depth after him is kind of non-existent. And I know the injury history with Kyron. He's kind of been injury prone. Maybe this is just to have that backup of just a scrappy, tough, hard nose, hard nosed back to just kind of relentless when he runs the ball. Doesn't really, he doesn't play soft. He
for sure.
definitely plays very physical. Just to have as a backup to Kyron. So I don't hate it. I think this is kind of like a safe pick for our running back room. Um, but I felt like I would have much preferred a cornerback because I thought like that was one of our biggest needs. But Corum, he's a national champion. Watching his tape, he runs very physical, not afraid of contact. So I don't hate it. It's definitely, I think, is going to complement Kyron very well, just to kind of alleviate some of that workload, especially with Kyron kind of having some tough injuries the last few years. So uh, I think it was a smart pick. I would have preferred a cornerback, but I don't hate it at the end of the day.
Yeah. I love the pick. I kind of said it pretty much. I mean, you've heard me say it in the season last year. I think. What is your guy starting? I'm blanking on his name
Kyron
now.
Williams?
Kyron, I was about to say Cam Akers. Kyron Williams. I mean, we see what he does. I mean, when he's on the field, explosive. Had pretty much one of the best running back seasons, at least per game average. Because, like you said, he did miss some during injuries. But
Yeah,
when you take a running back in the second round, especially for you guys, I treat it almost like a first rounder, just because it's almost like it's no one wants to touch a running back in the first. So a running back in the second means you value them high, which I like. Kyron Williams is been amazing, like I said, but he is your guys' workhorse, and I don't think he's big enough to be able to take that consistently throughout his career.
yeah,
He's a smaller back, so I mean, just getting the hits off, like you said, Blake Corum's a bigger back. He can be more goal line. He can do more of these other things that you don't want to put a smaller running back in the position to do. Kyron can still do them. We saw him do it at an elite level, but you just don't want to put those players in that consistent position where we know anything can happen in a rolled ankle. You step on a player, and then boom, we saw what your team looks like without Kyron Williams. It's a
Yeah.
whole different team. So I get it. It's an insurance policy as a backup, but I still think we're going to see a little bit of PD from you now. I mean, obviously Kyron's going to own it, but I
Yeah.
definitely think we're going to see enough of Blake Corum this year from you guys.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's going to complement well. I didn't hate the pick. I mean, it was definitely a good pick for
Yeah,
what we needed. I just would have much preferred to have a cornerback because I felt like that was a bigger need. But it it makes sense. It's definitely a very complimentary pick.
yeah,
But yeah, your pick right after ours. Uh, Another player from Michigan,
yeah,
Roman Wilson, receiver.
yep. I'm gonna say this is another guy I did not do any history or research on because I knew my team wanted a receiver. I was kind of questioning where, but with our
Yeah.
history, I knew that we would hit. We always do hit on receivers, and we pick some names I never know. So I almost never look into receivers because I always feel like we're gonna pick someone I'm not really sure of.
I mean,
And
you
this
guys
was
aren't
a
even going
pick,
to
but
throw the ball. You're just going to run an option with Fields and Wilson.
it's Russell's team.
Sorry,
Thank
with
you very much.
Russell
It's
and Fields. Sorry, I should have said
there
Russell
you go.
first. Sorry. I
Yeah,
definitely meant in the sense that Fields is going to be like the slot running back
yeah,
receiver.
yeah. I get you. I was joking. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot we could do, but yeah, I like this pick. We needed a receiver. We got rid of Deontay, and we don't. We'll pretty much only have Pickens, and we have the guy that from you guys.
Yeah, you guys
I
got
forgot
You guys signed Van Jefferson and
Jefferson.
Quez Watkins.
Yeah, I like them, but I definitely felt like we needed another name to potentially be a receiver too. And with the way the Steelers draft, and at least from the hype I've heard about this guy, it seems like we found another gem who could be our two, and who knows, maybe could possibly be our one. But we'll see. I like the pick. Never mad at a Steelers receiver pick. One of the most guaranteed in life.
But yeah, moving on. We'll kind of this will be the last one we'll go over. Um, Another Eagle for Jake, going in the third round here. Um, Another defensive edge for them, Jalix Hunt. Um, I definitely don't think this was a necessity pick. We know what their defensive line is like; they're absolutely crazy. Um, Now, obviously, they did kind of move on from Hassan Reddick, but their defensive line is still crazy even without him. But I think, yeah, this just kind of fills that void of maybe Hassan Reddick. But I don't think it was an extreme necessity for them. I think their defensive line would have been fine without taking an edge here. But, I think for terms of value, I don't think it was a bad pick. Definitely one of the, not top five, but I'd say one of the top 10 edges in the draft class. Um, and yeah, I don't think he's going to be, that, carbon copy replacement for Hassan Reddick. Because I think Hassan Reddick is one of those elite guys that is just kind of hard to replace. But I think it'll be a complimentary pick for them. We know Jalen Carter and what's their other guy's name? Jordan Davis. We know that
Jordan Davis.
yeah,
Yep.
we know their defensive line is already top tier. So I
Mhm.
think they're just kind of filling in that complimentary role on that edge there because you got to have edge guys to kind of
Yeah.
make space for those interior linemen. So um, I think it was a smart pick. Definitely not the biggest necessity for them, but we saw them take two cornerbacks in the first two rounds. So they we know that the Eagles like to draft defensive, and they made a lot of offseason moves offensively. So AJ Brown staying, signed Saquon. So we know that they didn't really need anything offensively, and yeah, at the end of the day, their biggest needs were defense. Other than maybe looking at offensive line. But even without Travis Kelsey, or not Travis, Jason Kelsey, that offensive line is still you know top three, top five,
Yeah.
maybe still number one at the end of the day. But um, yeah, we know the Eagles like to draft defense heavy, so definitely not a surprise here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kind of a necessity pick. But I mean, the Eagles, like I said, they just been having amazing drafts after amazing drafts. So I mean,
Yeah.
don't have a necessity pick here anymore. I mean, like you said, they
Yeah,
took
the only thing
care
they
of the
really needed was
quarterbacks.
cornerbacks. So
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you got him. I'm not gonna lie. There was Hassan Reddick getting traded. I didn't even hear about that, so this was the first I've heard. But it makes sense to pick a little bit more. Just I've seen the Eagles team from the last 3 years, and they have some of the deepest pass rushing groups I've seen, and I
yeah,
swear they don't use them all sometimes, especially that 1 year where they
yeah,
just like
they
every
traded
edge
Reddick and
rusher bad.
they traded Reddick and they added Bryce Huff.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Bryce Huff, so I like this pick. I don't know how often we're gonna see it. I don't see him beating out Bryce Huff. I think Bryce Huff is going to be a great replacement for losing Hassan Reddick. He's just a great one. I have high expectations for him, but yeah, just adding another edge piece never go
Yeah,
wrong when you're the Eagles.
but yeah, that'll kind of wrap it up. We do have obviously our teams have some more picks, but kind of after the third, fourth round, we're not really going to go
Yeah,
over every single one. Just kind of really the
until
main
like
guys
the end
you're
of
going
the
to look
third.
at. Now, granted, the Rams and the Steelers, we know that they're both teams that can turn fourth, fifth round, sixth rounders into stars. Um, so uh, I wish we could go over every single one, but just for time's sake, we're not going to do that. But yeah, that'll kind of wrap up our draft recap. Pretty big draft this year. I felt like this is definitely could be a very interesting class. I know. I mean, arguably, I'd say the last insane draft class we've had was like 2020. I'd say it was probably one of the best draft class in a long time, at least for the modern era. But who knows? This class definitely has the potential to be crazy. Names like Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison. Those two names alone just kind of make this class stand out like no other, at least
Yeah,
for the hype wise. Um, so at the end of the day, it's just whether or not they live up to those expectations, which is, easier said than done at the end of the day. But if anybody can get it done, I feel like those guys can. I definitely think Caleb Williams, with the guys he has around him, definitely has a lot of, he's got the tools for success. So, um, yeah, definitely looking forward to this year. Just itching for NFL Sunday to come back. Now that
yep. I
ready
can't
to see
wait.
the field, ready to see the players. Um, you know, Sunday's always better when there's a football game. So we're looking forward to it. We can't wait. We're excited, and we hope y'all are excited as well. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. You got anything else?
I was just gonna say the biggest thing about this new one is just I can't wait for fantasy football to come back because I
That is
this
true. Yeah,
draft
I miss fantasy
definitely
football.
switched up the draft board, so it'll be interesting to see
Oh yeah, there's gonna be.
how the analysts have this ranked at the end.
Yeah, this rookie class is definitely have some big impact on our fantasy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think also we're trying a dynasty one, right?
Yes, we do need to start a dynasty.
Yeah,
Sadly,
we
it
do want to
won't
do a
be.
dynasty.
Would have been fun to have it started last year so we can draft
Yeah,
from this class, but
yeah, it would have.
we'll get it going for the
That would have
future.
been crazy to have draft picks
Yeah.
for this class. We just gotta hope
Yeah.
next year's draft class is decent, so that way our picks are actually relevant.
Hey, you got Shiloh Sanders. Shiloh Sanders?
Yeah, I think
I think both.
they're
I think both of
expecting
them
him
are
in.
talking about going up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just
But
wanted one more year.
when were you at the pop?
But yeah, we're
No,
looking
should be
forward
good.
to it. Can't wait. It's gonna be exciting. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for this video. Make sure you check out our other video where we go over our top 10, or the top 10 in the draft. And yeah, keep on the lookout. As the season starts to creep up closer, we'll start getting more posts out, more videos out, and then obviously we'll be ramping up to 100% once season starts. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. And we'll catch y'all on the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell to get notified every time we post. Check out our Instagrams. It's the same name, same social. And we'll see you in the next one.
Oots.